I want to hear more from you about the picture in Gaza today. You mentioned we're talking about 40 to 50 million tons of rubble. You mentioned 70% of infrastructure is destroyed. We would like to hear more, if you can elaborate more about this picture, please, with more clarity and numbers as well, because us journalists, we love numbers and percentages. And also, if you can clarify the fact that with all the media, the reports and the talks today with the proposal of the US administration to move people from Gaza in order to do the recovery that you're mentioning, do you agree with this plan? Do you see that it's a realistic plan? Or do you see that, no, the people maybe we can recover or we can achieve a recovery in Gaza while the people are there? I would like to hear your take on this, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the last point that you have made, my colleagues in the noon briefings have already brought the official position of the UN and the sectional position, which is forced displacement is not consistent with international humanitarian law. And obviously, let's not make the situation more difficult and complex than it is now. What I've seen, as I mentioned, was quite impressive. But I will also bring some positive tone, because I imagine that you want to hear from me what I've seen in terms of impact, but also signals, particularly because I've been in Gaza previously. I visit the European hospital. So giving you one example, because you asked about examples. I visit the European hospital. The European hospital in Gaza, near Khan Yunis, is one of the most important hospitals. This hospital was, before the war, was powered by solar energy. 40%, almost 50% of all energy was provided from solar. With the war, there are no longer solar panels. So what happened? They had to use the generators, diesel generators. So for a longer period of time, the hospital couldn't work, because there was no solar because of the war, and there was no fuel. And now that they have the fuel, which is good news, the generators obviously are broken, and the spare parts are not allowed to be brought to Gaza, because are part of the list of items that are not allowed. So you can see the dilemma. So it was very practical. I met with the doctors, I met with the general manager, and he was explaining to me, what does it mean managing an hospital in this circumstance? Some examples: surgeries without anesthesia, post-surgical treatments without antibiotics, with the proliferation of infections. 3 babies that died because there was no electricity and the incubators were not functioning. So these were very concrete elements that were shared with me, and that's why the energy and infrastructure is critical. I know that we have been talking about food and medical supplies, about water. All these items are fundamental. But let's be serious. Electricity, energy, and water is fundamental. What they told me is that they don't have access to the water system. It's broken. There is no longer the water and sanitation system in Gaza. So now they are taking it from the ground, and it's contaminated in an hospital. So this is the real dilemma that you see in Gaza today, due to the destruction of public infrastructure. Another example, we are now providing fuel to the gas stations. I met with a driver of an ambulance. He has 9 ambulances that he managed. He said that before the ceasefire, he had the 9 ambulances stopped because there was no fuel. Now, in the last 3 weeks, all the ambulances are functioning. So I saw hope, which is the ceasefire allowed the UN to bring food, to bring water, to bring medicaments, to bring fuel. So the ceasefire has provided an important signal. So let's not waste the opportunity going backwards, and let's go forward, which means let's create the conditions for early recovery, particularly on shelters, roads, hospitals, schools, electricity, water, sewage, and waste management.